you exemplify this lifestyle of being able to gift your children and a life unlike any of their peers.
I think traveling with children helps them pivot and helps them be able to go, oh, we thought we were doing this today, but that road's closed, so now we're doing that. And they don't like cry and whine. Like, I've taught them to ask for what you want in life. And sometimes the answer is no, and you got to handle that. But there's so many opportunities that have come our way.
Welcome to Built to Scale, where we have real conversations with entrepreneurs just like you about what it takes to build a thriving business without sacrificing your personal life. My name is Craig Severinsen, and I help people make more money working with better clients while also working less. And now I'm sharing it all with you. Let's dive in. What's up, everybody? Episode 4, welcome. Today we've got Suzanne Doyle-Ingram from Prominence Publishing, and she is a great friend of mine and also happens to be a client. And what I love about Suzanne is that she not only helps people write and publish their books, but she's actually trying to change her industry. Instead of just helping people write a book and then focus on selling the book, which isn't very profitable, she's actually trying to help people write a book and then teach them how to leverage that book to grow a business, which I absolutely love about her. And we start this episode in a very interesting place, and it's all about what I love about entrepreneurship, and that is the freedom to do things like travel. Suzanne has traveled all over the world without missing a beat in her business. She talks about how she's done that, and we also get into like first steps of how to do it. Even if you've got kids, because she started when her kid was 3 years old. So even if you have children, you're going to love what she has to say about that. And then something else to look out for is how she's actually gotten support and interacted with people from other industries to get inspiration and insight on her own business and how that's helped her grow, which I thought was just really interesting. And then the last thing I want you to look out for is that she has a huge revelation from a bad client experience where the client actually bought from somebody else instead of her. And instead of getting upset about it, she used that to completely transform the way she approaches her business. And it's led to some great success for her. It's a really cool story. Look out for that. Okay, that's what I got for you. I can't wait. Let's dive in to this episode. You know what? This is a great place to start, I feel like, with you, because the coolest things about you that really stands out to me is that you have done trips out of the country, which you're from Canada, so out of Canada, yeah, and lived and kept your business running. So where have you gone and how did that get started?
Yeah, so I've been working online for 20 years, which is amazing when I think about it. My daughter's 20 years old, and that's when I started working online. But I've been able to go to Mexico quite a few times, all over Europe. I even went to Europe during COVID. There's this tiny little window before they were quarantining people. And we only went to places that had very little COVID. But yeah, so what I do is I just work with the time zones. On Wednesdays, I have certain calls that I have with my writing students. And in Canada, in the Pacific Coast, they're 9 o'clock calls a.m. But in the Netherlands or Portugal or France, wherever I am, they're around 5 or 6 in the evening. So I just always say to my partner, okay, Wednesday nights we're working. So we work, like he works online too. So we just work maybe from 5 till 8 at night, and then we'll go out for a later European meal. And I love it. I can work from anywhere. If you've got one of these, you can work from anywhere. It's great.
So when you're like getting ready to go work/live somewhere else for a couple months, like what are the first steps that you take to, like, is it like you just choose a spot and then you scout it out, or do you just like go online? Like, is there a website you go to? Like, how do you even get started with that?
Oh, so the criteria that we have is everyone's different, but for us, it's number 1 is the weather. So we want to go somewhere warm. Number 2 is the food and wine scene. So I already know where I'm eating in Paris. And I said to my partner, you don't even get a choice. I picked the restaurants. And then, we really like swimming in the ocean and boating. And he's a paddler. He does outrigger paddling and stand-up paddleboarding is what I like to do. So that's one of their criteria. It's different for everyone. Like some people might want to go hiking, so they pick a place for that. So obviously safety, and there's so much on YouTube. We like to go places that are cheaper. So Portugal is really, really good. Netherlands a lot. but that's not cheap, but just because we have family there. This time we're going to Montenegro. Yeah, it's just people are people everywhere you go, and people are good everywhere you go. And so we usually get Airbnbs. And when you book an Airbnb, you can contact the host and go, hey, what's cool to do? And I look at like local events. I like to try to do charity work if I can, volunteering if I can, and just enjoy where I am.
So, looking back at like your very first time doing this, where did you go and how long did you go for?
Wow, that's a really good question, because I remember exactly what happened. I had been building my previous business, working about 60 hours a week. And we had a nanny. We had a nanny that we loved for a long time. And then she moved on. So we had a new nanny. And I didn't really like her all that much, but I was like, it's fine, whatever. And one day my older daughter told me that the nanny had yanked my little 3-year-old boy, yanked him, pulled him up the stairs, like angrily, and like threw him into his room. And I just felt sick to my stomach. And that day we fired her, and I just felt like mama bear, like I want my babies with me, and like what am I doing? And I kind of freaked out. So I booked a trip to Mexico for a month and just booked an Airbnb, booked the flights. We went to Mexico, and I worked in the mornings from about 7 a.m. till noon, which was 5 hours. It's pretty good, right? And then we would just play the day, and it was the greatest experience. I could cry thinking about it, because I could just be like fun mom. And I felt like at home I was always like, get in the car, we got to go here, we got to go there. So I just was able to just relax. If one of my kids said, oh, look, there's a lizard on the side of the road, we could literally stand there for half an hour and look at the lizard on the side of the road, which I wasn't doing at home. So it was life-changing for me. And I realized my business, I actually made more money on that trip than I would have if I said, I made more than I thought I would. Let's put it that way. So, you don't have to put your business on hold when you go away. You can still do strategy calls. You can still finish projects. And I'm not like hustling for new clients when I'm away, but I take care of the clients that I have.
Awesome. And cell phone, a laptop, and an internet access, right? That's what you need. That's what it is.
Yes.
So top place you've gone to, and top bucket list place. Like, where is it you want to go, and where is it that it's been the best, you loved it?
I loved Portugal. So we're going back again in a few weeks, actually. Loved Portugal. France. So I've never been to France. So I'm going to France. That's bucket list for me, to go to Paris. But one place I haven't been is Barcelona. I had to cancel it last year because of COVID. I really want to go to Spain. And then we're going to a couple of obscure places like Albania, just to check it out. I would like to check out Colombia, which has come a long way. Where else? Yeah, I think that one day I'll probably retire in Europe.
Really cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So I got to say that, full disclosure, that Suzanne is actually one of my clients, and she went to Portugal last year, like she said, in between while COVID stuff was going down, and she didn't miss a beat. Like, we had weekly mastermind calls, and she was on those calls, and we were always so jealous because she had this balcony overlooking like this beautiful city, and we're always like, there's Suzanne living the dream. So totally inspirational. And I think anyone that is, for me, starting my business, I did it so we could travel with the kids. I wanted to give my kids culture, and so for us, Italy is like our first stop that we're eyeing. But I actually am fluent in Spanish, so I've considered, Spain or Central America or something like that. But I think Italy is where we're going to go.
Yeah, and my kids are great travelers now too. I'm going to Montreal in a couple of weeks. So I'm actually meeting up with, kids are getting older now, so one's already back east. The other two and I are flying to Montreal, meeting her there, just to speak a little French. And same thing, my kids are great travelers. I think traveling with children helps them pivot and helps them be able to go, oh, we thought we were doing this today, but that road's closed, so now we're doing that. And they don't like cry and whine. And then, I know, gonna go to Chuck E. Cheese. There is now Chuck E. Cheese. And I've taken my kids to an orphanage in Mexico a couple of times and had them have us like volunteer there and play with the kids and stuff, and just to see how incredibly privileged they are. and just to see how other people live, I think is really, really, really good for kids.
Well, and I think that's, so again, really inspirational, because you said you started traveling when your son was like 3, right? So like your kids were small when you started. Yeah. How has the international experience affected them as they've grown? Like you just said, like a lot of like flexibility, right? But like what else have you seen in them that travel has given them?
Well, my older daughter, she's just about turning 20. When she was 15 years old, she applied for a program to go volunteer in China for 6 weeks in the summer. Yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. And I remember we were in Mexico when she had the interview, and we had to get Skype going and everything. And the Wi-Fi was terrible. And I was like, all stressful. Anyway, she got the job, and I was like, oh, this is great. And I took her to the airport, and I remember going, am I the worst mother in the world? Like, what am I doing? I'm sending my 15-year-old to China. And I cried in the car all the way home. I had to drive for about a half an hour, and I was like, I got to pull over. Like, I cannot control myself. It was horrible. Probably the worst thing I ever did. Of course, it was the best thing I ever did, because she's now studying global relations and global development and international political science. Sorry,
she's gonna listen to this, and she's gonna be like, she doesn't listen. She doesn't even know what I'm studying.
I would have to ask her, because I'm like, she wants to be a diplomat, a foreign diplomat, and she's just like living in another province and doing great. And the other 2 kids are brave. Like, I've taught them to ask for what you want in life, and sometimes the answer is no, and you got to handle that. But there's so many opportunities that have come our way. So many amazing things that have happened because they're not shy. And they're even, actually, my middle daughter is a little bit shy, but she pushes herself to and I'm so proud of them for being like that, to go after what they want, and also to think about others. So that's a bit tough sometimes.
I think that's the coolest thing, because being an entrepreneur has opportunities that you don't get in the corporate world. Like, you take a risk to be an entrepreneur, and to see you exemplify this lifestyle of being able to gift your children and a life unlike any of their peers. So to me, you are like the perfect example of what like an entrepreneur's life could be, like the potential that all of us have when we start our business. You're exemplifying it, which I love. It's awesome.
Thank you. And one thing I want to say is I try to do it on a budget, because in some of those places, living there for a month is cheaper than living at home for a month. Believe it or not. You go for $1 tacos in Mexico, and they're delicious, So I also, when you use your credit card for all your business expenses, and then you fly on points. So, you don't have to be a multimillionaire to do this. There really are ways of doing it that are frugal.
Well, so let's I love this lifestyle talk, but let's switch gears a little bit, because I want to talk about, because I think it's unique for like guests on the show, at least, that you are a client of mine. So like, I'd love to hear more about like, where are you taking your business, and how has your business shifted over the past, like, man, have we been working together for a year now? Has it been that long?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's a year. No,
so
more
how's
than
it
a year.
Shifted over the past year?
Oh, wow.
So where are you going, and how has it changed? Is the two kind of...
Well, okay, where am I going, and how has it changed? So I'm a book writing coach and a book publisher, and I have online courses. And I think what's shifted is I'm doing more outreach type of marketing that I learned from you, Craig. Craig pushes me to do that. Because I was getting a little bit relaxed on referrals, because I've been doing this for 10 years, and I love what I do. Either people come to me and they don't have a book and they don't know how to write a book, and so I help them write a book, and then we publish it, make it a bestseller and all that good stuff. Or they have a book and they need a publisher, so we do that too. But I really love working with people one-on-one, but I realized I was saying the same thing all the time. And so the group programs that I have really helped my business grow. And then also I realized I had a huge shift one day in my business when someone joined one of my very entry-level programs. It was $495 for 8 weeks, and it's just an 8-week program. That's it. Then it just helps them get started with their writing. And then she went away, and so that was fine. And one day she asked if she could have a call with me to ask me some questions about getting her book on Amazon. And I had thought that because she joined at a tiny price, well, not tiny, but you know what I mean, like the lower level, that she wanted a DIY thing. She wanted to do it all herself, and she didn't want to join my more expensive program. But anyway, long story short is I found out that she had invested in cover design and graphic design and all this stuff. And I was like, that's what we do at Prominence Publishing. That's my job. And she's like, oh, I had no idea you offered that. So that was a huge wake up for me where I thought, okay, I talked to my director of publishing. I said, we need better onboarding where everybody knows there are 5 phases to writing the book. This is the phase that you're in. And then when this phase is done, you're going to move to the next phase. And so we have way better communication now. And that's one of the ways that it has changed. And I know that will increase revenue, but it also is just better communication and engagement with our current clients.
I love that. I think sometimes we hit those rocks where like, I know that I've had like sales conversations or like somebody buys something cheaper from me, and then they go buy from somebody else. And like, I think the tendency is to be like, oh, girl, like just like really upset by it. And what I love by what you just explained is that you took that opportunity to say, oh my goodness, like, how can I change my business so that this doesn't happen again, in terms of like everyone knows that this is what we offer and that here's how we. So now you've got like a proprietary process, right? So how did you go about starting to like, okay, because you just said there's 5 steps and all that stuff. How did you go about starting to like put together that process or that system where it's like, here's how we operate?
Well, she really helped me realize that I needed to explain that, the 5 phases. I looked at the fact that when someone comes to us and they say, I need a publisher, but I already have a cover designer, I would say 99.999% of the time, it's a flawed cover. So we have to fix it. So now I say, we're going to charge you more. And they're like, what? I thought I was going to save money because I already have that done. I'm like, no, you have to use ours. So I learned along the way that I used to just kind of like let it go, like, oh, you don't need editing and you don't need cover. Okay, well, we'll just do this, this, and this. And I'm like, no, in order to serve them better is what I'm saying. Like, I don't want them to go somewhere else and get bad information or get ripped off or fall for one of those scams where somebody says, we're going to print 1,000 books for you. It's only going to cost you $10,000. And then you can sell them for $20,000, but they end up with 900 books in their garage for the next 20 years. And I don't believe in that. I don't like it. I don't want that to happen to my customers. So I forgot the question, but I think, does that explain it?
Well, what I love about what you're saying is that it's like by standing more firm in who you work with and who you don't work with and how you work with them, you're actually doing them more fit. Like, I feel like we sometimes want to be super flexible for everybody. Yeah. But the truth is, the more you put those boundaries, what I'm really getting from you is that it's like you're stepped into leadership around your expertise. You know what I mean? It's like you're stepping into like, I know how this works. You don't. That's why you're paying me for this. Yes, exactly. Trust me. Like, I know what I'm doing. And I don't want to, I always say to people, there's a lot that I don't know. I don't know about Instagram. I don't know Pinterest. I don't know, but I know Amazon. I've been doing this for 10 years, this particular niche that's very specialized. And I realize, when it just some of the questions that come my way by clients, I go, haven't I been saying this to you for 6 months? But they don't know things, right, that are easy for me. That's really funny that you said, because like I have found that in the consulting portion of my business, it's like you can say something to somebody and intellectually they understand it, but it's like they have to go and experience it. Like, I know I've told people, hey, let me do this really quick example. One time I was working with a guy and I was like, he wanted to be like a speaker coach. Like, he wanted to teach people how to like speak. And we went through the math and like intellectually understood I can make a living off this. It's like, okay, go sell it. And then he sold one of the packages and he came back to me. He's like, Craig, I can make a living off of this. It's like, yeah, I know. We spent like 40 minutes talking about that last time. And he's like, yeah, but now the money's in my bank account. Now I see how it can work. And I see how this, now he's been thriving running this. But it's like, sometimes people just have to experience it in order to really understand it,
That brings to mind the expression, I'll believe it when I see it. But sometimes I think it's the other way around. I'll see it when I believe it.
Oh, yeah, totally. Totally. Like it's two different types of understanding, right? That intellectual versus the experiential. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you just need to go through it in order to really grasp it.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So when you look at your industry, which is the publishing, helping experts like get their message out, what are you hoping to like build with your business? Like, where are you wanting to take the industry? That's a big question.
I just inside, I just lit up when you said that, because what I'm finding now is we just get the book done. And like, to me, the book is the simplest part, because then what I say, all the juicy stuff happens after. So I have a program called Beyond the Book. So after someone finishes working with me and they have their book, then I do a lot of business building with them. I help them set up online programs, help them get a TED Talk together, a signature talk, an online course. Like I said, I like, just copy my business model. Do this, do group programs, do private programs. And I love that so much. And I had one of my clients, she put together a certification program for her specific industry and what she does. I helped her with that. And then she started selling it to people. And so she said to me, I have a call today, later on today, and I think I'm going to ask for $1,000, because they have a whole bunch of people in their office and all the people can take the course at the same time. And I'm going to do 3 calls with them. I'm going to ask for $1,000. I said, ask for 10. So I'm coach them on business stuff like this too, right? So I'm like, $10,000, that's your price. And she goes, oh, but that's a lot of money and it's only 3 hours work. And I said, it's not about the price. It's about what you're giving them. There's a ton of value in what you're giving them. Yeah. Anyways, she got 6,000.
Nice.
And it's like so much more than book publishing. And that's where I see my business going is like, okay, the book is just a thing, like a business card, a website, a banner. A book is an asset for your business. And forget about working 16 hours a day trying to sell books so you can make $20. Let's use that book to sell you. Let's get you a talk. Let's get you on podcasts, all the good stuff that comes. And it's just building visibility and authority. And then people will pick you because you're seen as the expert in your industry.
Yeah, totally. I love that. It's almost like a similar tool that is headed down that same path is these like courses, right? These really, really cheap courses. And it's like people feel like, oh, if I just make this course, I can make all this passive income, and I'm sure it's like the same. I'm sure you hear the same with like books, right? If I just write my book, I'll make all this passive income. I'll be this New York Times bestseller. I'll have $1 million. But the truth is like those types of tools are like the inroad into audience growth and into authority growth, right? And that's how you start getting those clients knocking on your door more.
Yeah, and I'm always really honest with people about that and really transparent. Someone was saying to me the other day, a prospect that is considering working with me, and she goes, I saw you on Udemy and you have 700 students in your course. And I go, yeah, but the truth is I make about $4 a month off of Udemy. Like, I don't make any money from that, but it's great for authority and visibility.
Yeah.
So it's so crazy. It's like, oh, you must have made $90,000 from that. No, not at all.
So I've got a course on Udemy that I made when I was still consulting with nonprofits like 10 years ago. Yeah. And I've gotten $7 a month from Udemy for like the past like 8 years. Like it's just every month. So I'm not rich, but hey, I mean, I think it's paid for itself by now. It's $8 a month.
That's not a successful example of passive income.
I can retire off my Udemy now. $8 a month. I'm set.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, so I know you're a book publisher, and I also know that you have published books for yourself, but they're not all like, business publish your own books. So like, how many books have you published, and like, what is like your favorite? What's your favorite? Because I know there's
of my own books.
Yeah, of your own books.
Oh yeah. So and it's funny. I've written and co-written 20 books, but I don't like writing, and I don't consider myself a writer at all. And so the very first one was, what was the very first one? Oh, I have so okay. Let me tell you honestly, the first book I wrote was under a fake name because I thought it would totally fail, and I didn't want anybody to know that it was me. So there's that. I had come out of owning a marketing agency that failed in 2008, 9, and it was limping along in 2010. I had to stop. So in 2010, I wrote my first book. Quietly, secretly put it on Amazon, and I used a little bit of marketing like ninja moves that I knew. And I was like, oh, it's a bestseller. And then I had to tell people, that's actually me, even though that's not my name. They're like, yeah, right, whatever, who cares? So that was like a gluten-free recipe book. And then I wrote 6 more books that year. And one of them was called And Baby Makes Three, Now What Do We Do? So it was about taking care of a new baby. One of them was called See Jane Grow, How to Establish Yourself as an Expert in Your Industry, which is really old now and probably totally outdated. But that one completely failed. So the other ones became bestsellers and that one failed. And I thought, that's interesting. What's going on here? But then I ended up getting a call from a nonprofit organization that was looking at women business owners and women entrepreneurs and why we make less money than men, why we go out about business faster than men. And they asked me, because of that book, they asked me to work with them for 5 months. So I got this great contract. And at the end of the year, my accountant said that I made more money from those contracts that I got than I did from book sales combined. So I was like, that's when the light bulb went off and I went, it's not about the book sales. Because I had been selling books. I'd get checks for $1,000 from Amazon. But, it wasn't enough to live on. And it was exhausting trying to constantly get eyeballs on your book and, like feeding the engine, right? Whereas realizing that I can help people write books. So which one was my favorite, you asked me? I guess the flop, the biggest failure was my favorite because it made me shift my business.
That's interesting. I mean, 20 books did you say in a year? 20 books in a year? Is
that? No, that's been over 10 years. Yeah. No, I wrote 7 books in my first year. And so when people tell me I don't have time to write a book, I'm like, I'm sorry. No, I was very, very tired. I had 3 young children, but I was broke and I needed to make some money. So I wrote books from 10 o'clock at night till midnight and it was exhausting.
So here's my question for you. So this is the question. I'm going to preface this. The question is, when is the right time to write a book? And I think I come into this conversation biased because I think everyone comes and they're like, oh, I want to write a book, or I want to launch a podcast, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. And it's like, I feel like they try to do that before they have any foundation beneath them. So when do you feel like is the right time to write a book?
For what I do, nonfiction books. I mean, you can write a fiction book anytime you want, but I only help you with nonfiction. So when I'm on a strategy call with somebody, I ask them about their business because I'm thinking, how can I help them make more money? Forget about the book. The book is simple. I have templates, literally fill in the blanks. You can write a book, but the book is a piece of the puzzle. So if they have a book, what are they going to do with it? What do they want the book to do for them? So let's say they don't have a talk, we can help them with that. They don't have an online course, we can help them with that. But if they don't have a business at all, like they don't have a thing that they do or they specialize in, then I think they're not ready. But if they already are a coach and they're already coaching, I've had people that recently and they're like, oh, this is what I want to do, but they aren't doing any of it. And it's a bit of a red flag for me because they're like, oh, it's simple. I'm just going to get some clients. And I'm like, okay, go do that and then come back. I can help them with that too, but they had no business, right? So
I used to joke when I went to networking events, if you ever ask somebody, what do you do? And they start the sentence with the words, oh, I'm trying, you can just turn out right there because nothing's going on. There's not really a business. I'm trying to, okay, we're done. I'm going to tell me when you've done it and then we'll talk.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that I'm not the right coach for them. Like then I would send them to a different coach. I know I actually have another business coach that I refer people to who's amazing. And she helps them kind of get going, and set up and get going. And then she refers people to me when they're ready,
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that first part. It's just, you've got to, you're hitting the nail on the head where it's like, you've got to have at least something that you can put the momentum into. You've got to have a container to capture the audience and convert those into paying clients. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of effort and the energy dissipates, right? It just kind of goes off into space.
Yeah, and I don't like to tell people, you're going to write your book and then there's 87 other things you need to do at the same time. So even some people, if they're a coach, if they're just coaching one-on-one and they want to have a group program, they can write the book and their call to action can be book a strategy call with me while they're building an online program, and that online program might only be 10 videos and then a weekly group coaching call. That's what I have on my basic program. There's 24 videos and a weekly call. And it's worked for 10 years. I've been teaching the same thing, helping hundreds and hundreds. Actually, just almost just over 1,000 people now that I've helped.
That's cool. Congratulations. Yeah. That's really cool. Thanks. You said something there that I kind of just want to pull out and highlight a little bit. And it's this idea that if you can just be brave and sell, right? You can grow and evolve your business while it turns into something awesome. I've got, you probably heard me say this before inside the program, but I've got the saying that it's like nothing's finished. It's always just the current version of whatever it is. And if you can change your mindset to like, it's almost like your website, right? Like you finish the website, you push publish, guess what? It's out of date. You got to fix it, right? Like
that whole thing, I hate it.
if you can get your mindset around this idea that nothing's finished, it's always just its current version, then that takes away the fear of selling it, and you can sell it and improve it and sell it and improve it. And so your business can grow and evolve, and at the same time you can make money, which I think is the sweet spot you want to live in, right? Yeah.
Sometimes I say to my clients, I see what you're doing. You're getting ready to get ready. Stop it.
Yeah, just do it.
Just go, right? Just do it. And then if I push, sometimes I have to push them really hard. And the next thing you know, they're like, oh, I wrote my book. Oh, I went and I got a cabin in the woods for 2 weeks and I wrote my book. But yeah, my expert author program has videos in there that are old, that aren't even edited. I'm like, oh, hey, wait a minute, I didn't push the button. And oh, whoops, like I'm kind of a goof but nobody cares. It still helps them, right?
They love it. It humanizes you, right? Like it
doesn't have to be perfect.
They buy into it, yeah. So I think that's something that we do all the time in terms of like, you see people getting ready to get ready. It's like we do hashtag silly things as humans where we try to solve problems before we have them.
Oh, please.
Right? Yes. I had a client once who we were talking and we were trying to get him, to raise his rates. And he's like, he's working with like, maybe 10 or 20 people at that point. And he's like, Craig, how do I run? And he's a solo pro. He's like, Craig, how am I going to run 100 employee business? And I'm like, what? He's like, how am I going to run once this gets going? Like, how am I going to run 100 employee business? I was like, dude, let's focus on creating that problem first, and then maybe we'll solve it. Like, first we got to get you enough momentum that you've got one employee, and then we'll start thinking about how do you become the CEO of a 100-person,
I know.
Silly things we do, right?
I have the same thing with people who ask, they need a very solid, firm marketing plan for their book, which they haven't written yet. I'm like, now I can say that's phase 5. You're in phase 1. We don't skip the phases.
Proprietary system, yeah.
In your bucket.
Yeah, totally. I think having that proprietary system is killer. It just helps facilitate your sales. It helps facilitate your service delivery. It helps all over the place.
Yeah.
So this is a selfish question, but if you think about being in my program, being in my world, working with me, what has been like the most influential thing to you, or like the most impactful thing on you and your business from working with me and being in my world?
Oh my gosh. Wow. You should have given me some warning.
I want the raw truth is what we're going for.
I think you give really, really great coaching and really good advice and tips and strategies. I feel like even though you're younger than me, you're like this grown up in my life that kind of has my back and supports me. And if I say, because most entrepreneurs have a little bit of the shiny syndrome thing where I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this new thing. And you just like keep me on track. So that's what I love about working with you. And the other people in the group too, we're all from different industries. So I love, we're getting their feedback on everything too. And it's just also, every week when we have our calls, it reminds me, I have to work on my business, not just in my business. Yeah. And so that's why I'm glad I have you in my life.
Awesome. Thanks. I love I think about our calls and I love your enthusiasm when you get a new idea, you're like all in on it. And I always try to not squash that, like, so it's like, okay, cool, Suzanne, or, whoever, but in your case, Suzanne, right? Let's walk through that. Let's look what that would look like. And also let's look at your other goals and see what that would look like. And lots of times we walk down that path and you're like, wait a minute, if I do that, I'm not going to be able to do this. And so you'll walk yourself back and then go down, keep yourself on track, which I think is awesome. But you've got such an not influence, but excitement for your business and for your industry that it's infectious. Like I love interacting with that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Well, cool. If someone wants to learn more about you or about Prominence Publishing, where do they go? Where do they find out more about you?
Well, they can go to prominencepublishing.com, and there's all kinds of case studies and testimonials and information on our website, and they can book a strategy call with me if they scroll down the bottom of the page. I think it's on a bunch of different pages. We can talk about that. And then also we can just Google my name, Suzanne Doyle-Ingram. You find out lots of information. I'm the only one out there
What's the pen name you used if they want your gluten-free cookbook?
Well, it's top secret.
It's top secret. Is that what you said?
Top secret. Yeah.
Okay. I won't push
It's old.
What social media are you active on? You're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Where are you at?
Facebook and LinkedIn. Yeah.
Okay,
Facebook.
Cool. Well, very cool. All right. Well, thanks so much, Suzanne. Good talking to you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for listening. If this episode helped you, share with someone who needs to hear it as well. For more information on how you can work with me and great resources for your business, head over to builttoscalehq.com. Join us next time for Built to Scale. And until then, take some fast, focused, imperfect action. I believe in you. I got your back. We'll talk soon.